Hey everyone,
Hi.
welcome. This is, I think, episode 8 of the Hustle and Harmony podcast. My name is Alyssa, and then I have Ashley here as well. Say
Hello.
hi, Ash. We're super excited. So we were just talking before we came on live that the summer craziness has already begun, and we are super pumped and excited. So I just want to preface this and say today my kids is this is their first day home. And so it's, the summer crazy has begun. And so it's only fitting that today our topic is keeping your sanity while creating and living out your family summer bucket list.
Yeah.
So we're going to kick this off by talking about summer. So we just want to really help to equip you with like some mindset shifts maybe that you can have this summer around creating like a summer bucket list for your family, but also keeping that harmony and balance within your life. So, are you
Yeah. I
excited
like to
about
think
this
of it
one?
as the summer, like a summer survival
Yes.
episode. Like,
Yes.
let's survive summer, happily and peacefully as much as possible.
Yes.
Right?
That's the goal. That's the goal.
Mhm.
And I was talking to a friend earlier this morning, and I was like, "Yeah, we're recording a podcast episode today." And she was like, "Oh, what's the topic today?" And I was telling her, and she's like, "Oh, that's a good topic. Perfect for this time of year." And I was like, "Yeah,
Yes.
because we're all kind of figuring it out as summer kicks off." So,
It creeps up on you.
it
You know what I
does.
mean?
I can't believe that the school year is over. I feel like that was super fast and I wasn't really prepared for it. Like, I think the weather here, not
Mhm.
feeling spring or summer really lately, was like making it really not feel like
Yeah.
it.
And now it's here. Now my kids still have another week and a day, week and a half day of school. But I said the same thing to Holly the other day. I was like, I feel like we just had your fall conference and now school's
Yes,
over.
it's
Like where
over.
where did it all go?
Done.
But yeah, we
I know.
it's time to like, oh, we're in crunch time here. We gotta gotta get ready
Yes.
for the summer.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the first thing that we want to talk about today is really having that mindset shift from Pinterest perfect summer or like Instagram highlight reel summer to
Yes.
purpose filled. Like really having a filled summer. And I think for me personally, this is definitely something as a mom that I've gained wisdom over time. It's definitely not something that I had together, at the beginning as my kids were like just starting school and then they would be off for the summer. But it's that pressure to make, I think as moms, sometimes we feel this pressure to make every day like, oh my gosh, it's summer, has to be magical. Or there's some sort of guilt that we feel if we're a working mom. Do you know what I mean? And like,
Absolutely.
well, if I'm working full time, but my kids are home for summer, how am I going to make this like the most fun summer if you're still out of the house X amount of hours a week, or they're going to a summer camp, or they go to a sitter or whatever, and just more focusing on making meaningful memories and realizing that you really don't have to do all of the things. And we alluded to this, you kind of talked about this in one of our other episodes, and just doing what matters most for your family and
Mhm.
the whole quality over quantity. So do you have any personal takes on this, Ash?
Yeah, I mean, I think you mentioned it already. As a working mom, it's really important to, have grace for or give yourself grace when it comes to this. So, I do stress out a little bit, or I have in the past, in terms of, okay, my kids are going to be home all day, all summer. What am I going to do with them? Right?
Yeah.
Because I don't want them on their devices all day. I don't want them coming in here saying I'm bored all day. Right? So it does add, I think, extra pressure to
Right.
mom. So, like, not even necessarily like I need to make it the best summer ever, but honestly, how am I going to fill all the time? Right?
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of time. You think of 40 hours a week, like if we're thinking of a work week, right? Right. So I think that's where a lot of the stress comes from as well. And it's just how am I going to keep them occupied, right? All day for an entire week. So I think
Yeah.
that's why it's important, one, to say, okay, you don't have to plan out every single moment of the day,
Yep.
but set yourself up so you have things to pull from and you have some things planned to help, but you don't need to have, like you mentioned, this Pinterest perfect, itinerary and
Yeah.
all of the things planned like from morning till night, right? So get that out of your brain and, just kind of set yourself up with a good little framework. And it's much more manageable. Kids are happy, less stress because when you have too much going on, it causes stress as well, right? So I think those are a couple of things that I have learned to keep in mind when it comes to the summer, for
Yeah,
sure, or the
absolutely.
last
And I
couple ones.
think for me, some of the things that I've learned is that I, being like a work from home, stay at home mom, I think the struggle can be like, I still need routine. Like, even though
Mm-hmm.
school's out, that's why I feel off today because my routine was thrown off. And so, like, I still crave some sort of routine with summer. Um, and because I'm more of a structured person, sometimes I've felt pressure of like, well, it should be more like fly by the seat of our pants and like not because it's summer and it's supposed to be more fun. But I've
Mm-hmm.
learned that for me personally, keeping some sort of routine to it is helpful for me.
Yes.
But that took me definitely some time to learn. And then also realizing that like being like I think when Owen was younger, but maybe kindergarten, first grade in the summer, I felt like, okay, he's home. Let's do something today. Let's do something this day. Like I wanted to go like do all these things. Like I didn't think that him being at home would be as fun to him.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so many different things that you can do at home that are still fun and creative, and the kids will be just fine. So,
Yeah, I love that you mentioned those things because I have them in some notes for later
did
on
you? Okay, good,
today.
good,
Yes.
good.
So I think
Um,
that's going to be perfect.
yeah, so let's start to get into some tips that we have for you around
Yeah.
like really how you can keep your sanity
Yes.
this. So tip number one, I guess I'll do tip number one is keep it flexible, right? Like just be flexible, take it as it comes, take the days as they come. And really in this category, you want to think about your plans for summer, more just having a summer rhythm rather than like rigidity. Like you don't have to have like how I thought I needed to have these structured days in the summer. It's okay not to have that, but to have more of that rhythm. We do in our house, we do a little bit of a summer bucket list. Like each kid writes some things down that they really wanted to do this summer. Do you do anything like that, or how do you?
Yeah. Yeah, I would just like to go back to the last point that before we totally move on, right? In terms of plans or like flexibility, like yeah, clearly definitely really important. Don't need like the whole day planned, but one thing that I think is helpful is having, a framework for the day. So it
Yes.
could be okay, like the morning time that's our quiet time or you're kind
Yep.
of self doing things on your own, self-entertainment or with your siblings, things like that, right? The afternoon, that's when we'll maybe do more of a group activity, and then the evening, that's when you get your devices or maybe
Right.
some chores or something like that, right? So it's not really planned, down to
Right.
the hour, like, okay, wake up, you do XYZ, but it is helpful, I find, because similar to you, structure, routine, I'm working, right? There are some expectations. So at least have an idea of like, okay, here's kind of what to expect throughout the day. So I
Hmm.
still do think that that's helpful.
Yeah.
And maybe it will be for some of the listeners too, right? To keep in mind. And it will flex depending on your availability and what works for your
Right.
family. But, think about that, right? Like, is there some type of like guidelines or something that you can kind of set up for that? But, and I do still think that, a calendar can be important, right? So, or at least as you are deciding on some things, because yes, flexibility is important, but you're going to make some plans, right?
Right.
Depending on what's maybe offered or events or certain days that you have off. So keeping track of those things and having them out in the open so everyone can see it's visible, there's no surprises, is still helpful, and you can slowly kind of fill up the calendar there, which I think is helpful. But sorry, just wanted to add that before we kind of
Yeah.
moved
No,
on.
I love
Yes, a
that.
bucket list. Yeah, so we have done stuff like that in the past. We haven't done a formal one yet this year, although I did ask Holly the other day, and it was kind of funny. Hers was like wants to go to the pool. She's like, I want to go to the pool every day this year. Because actually, last year we didn't make it to the pool a whole lot, and we literally have one in our neighborhood around the corner
Yeah.
because we were so packed. We were so overplanned last summer between
Right.
camps and activities and all of the things that we barely made it there. Like at the end of the summer, I was like, wow, we didn't even like go to the pool all that much, you know?
Right.
So this year she's like, I want to go to the pool every day. And I'm like, okay, well, let's hold on that. But, let's be intentional about it. Like we want to spend a lot more time there, which is fun, but it's not like this hard thing. It's not this over planned
Right.
activity that you need to do. So yeah, we still have to go through and set that up. But yes, I want to have both kids come up with a couple of things that like one thing they want to learn about, or like a couple of things they want to learn about in the summer, and then a couple of things that they want to do. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So that we can, and then we can kind of plan those out. Like, okay, we can do some of these specific things, baked in throughout the time off.
Yeah, that's how we
Yeah.
are too. We haven't really come up with anything for certain, but ours always includes like some of the local amusement parks that we have.
Mm,
My kids always want to make sure that we hit them up at some point.
of
Uh,
course.
go to the beach. We do the pool a lot. So it's just, coming up with those different things.
Yeah.
1 second. I'll be done in a couple minutes, okay? Go sit down.
Yeah. This
Uh,
is real life, folks.
yeah, this is my life. My kids
Yeah.
are
It's
they
a
want
summer
to go to the
break.
pool today,
Kids
so
are
they're
going to
like,
be here.
"What
Yep.
time are you done?" So yeah, I think too, how you were saying, my summer has changed according to the ages of my kids.
Definitely.
So like I feel like I'm coming into a different like
Season.
season of life where I don't have to worry so much now about nap times or like afternoon times. So in our house it is more of like a morning quiet time. Um and then afternoon is more like activity that we do together, which is usually
Hmm.
like going to the pool. So I
Right.
work while they play in the morning, and then we kind of do stuff together in the afternoon, and then the evening is like open for if they have sports stuff going on or whatever.
Yeah.
I'll also try to finish up some work stuff in the nighttime. So it is
Yeah.
nice.
I mean, I will say for sure, it's never, look, every season of parenthood is challenging in its own ways.
Hmm.
Summertime is easier once they are older
Yeah.
and do
Once
have a
they're
level of
older.
independence, right? I mean,
Yeah.
like clearly, like working from home with having a toddler, I can't do that, or I could not do that in that season, right? I needed someone there who could be
Right.
watching her. She needed to be in daycare, right? Or both of them, right? But it definitely is nice being in this season, being able to set them up and have independent activities and all of that. So
Yeah.
yeah, it is nice, I'll say, in that sense, right?
Yeah.
To be in this season for
It's
sure.
definitely a change. And, we're also just talking about this, and it comes along with the flexibility is like leaving room for like the weather. The weather here has
Yeah.
been like there's just changes, that come up with your plan. So just being willing to be able to pivot, which I wasn't always good at. Like personally,
Hmm.
like I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, well now what am I gonna do?"
Right.
Like
My plans are ruined
my
and
plans
like
are ruined.
expectations are out
Yeah.
the door.
I feel like
Yeah.
when I was a newer mom, like I had all these
Oh
expectations
yeah.
of things that were going to happen and how it was going to go. And then when it wouldn't, I felt like, oh my gosh, like, well, I just felt like I needed to make up for that then. So
Yeah,
just,
absolutely.
don't feel
One
like,
thing that helps with that I had here, I would suggest everyone think about is creating some type of idea bank. So, anytime you're in a moment where it's like, okay, we need something to do, or the weather has changed, or whatever the case is, well, then when it's in the moment, then you can never think of something to do, right? Do you
right.
find you're like, nope, I have nothing. Nothing's coming to mind. So if you do a little bit of planning ahead of time, like then you can just, oh yeah, that sounds good right now. Or you can
Yep.
talk with the kids and kind of see what they're into. Like a couple of ideas here are, and we've done a couple of these in the past, and I want to do some more this year, are virtual classes. Have you ever heard of
Yes.
outschool.com? Okay,
Yes.
yeah. So like they have a lot of great options, and they have some even like $10 a class. Like, and there's some that are more expensive as well, but they're on all different topics, right? But that's an easy one that you can quickly pull from, or at least plan in advance for some. I think
Right.
the other one is, now this again takes some planning, there's some calendar work with it, but what's being offered at like your local library or museums or the Parks and Recreation department, right? Like there's always a ton of stuff out there, classes, and they're usually either free or very low cost.
Yes.
So those are things that you can bake in, right? Maybe not necessarily spontaneity, but remember just to have them as a list. Maybe you don't plan to go, but on the day, it's like, oh yeah, let's go ahead and do that, right? It feels like
Right.
it's a good fit. Um, I think another good site that you can use is Go Noodle. I learned that from my mom as a
Oh,
teacher. They have a lot of different like activities on there, like learning, dancing, fitness, like
I never
all
heard of
kinds
it.
of stuff. So again, just having like, oh yeah, let's go check out that site, see if there's anything maybe that pops out at us today. There's also National Geographic Kids has like games and all kinds of stuff on their site. So that's something easy that you can pull from, as well. So I think creating some type of, list or book or however you want to do
Yep.
it, if it's a notes app, right, of just ideas as they come to you. That way, when you're in the moment and need something, you can refer to it and there you go. You're not
Mhm.
in that analysis paralysis,
Yeah.
state of freeze state, in the moment when you're looking for something. So I think
Yeah.
that's always good. And then another thing too that you could think about is like theme days. So I know one suggestion was like water Wednesdays. So maybe you always plan to do something water related on Wednesdays. Some other things that I have done, because I actually created a couple years ago now, as actually as part of work, I was in, they're called employee resource groups, at least in companies I've worked for in the past. And it's basically like a club, I guess you could think about it, where employees with common interests get together and do stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I was in one related to like we all had families, right? So I actually created a summer survival guide a couple years ago, like had a calendar of like ideas of things you can do or your kids can do on their own simply, not a lot of materials, stuff like that,
Yeah.
right? To help because obviously we're all working,
All
right,
working.
with
Yeah.
our kids home. So a lot of the things I had thought about at that time are like science days, like having days where you do science experiments, or like have a couple of those planned so at any given time you can pick one of those to do. Board game days was another one, and like we always love to do games. And another one was Tasty Tuesdays. So like cooking something or baking something with your kids, like something that they've been asking about, or again, something simple, fun that they can get involved in, right? So just
Yeah.
have a lot of different ideas out there and then you can pull from it.
Yeah. I love that. That's a great idea. I never heard of Go Noodle, so that's cool.
Yeah.
I know something we're doing here locally, and it's a lot of, I think it's like nationwide. There's a bunch of bowling alleys. There's this program called Kids Bowl Free for the summer.
Oh,
And I think that how it works is you can sign up online. It's called Kids Bowl Free. So if you Google it, you could probably find it. But our local bowling alley is participating. And I think when you go, you bowl for free. I think you just pay for your shoes.
oh,
So, like, that's a pretty good deal. So, we're like
yeah.
saving that thought for rainy days. And then, if different movie theaters around, like for rainy day activities, have different like days of the week where they have special matinees where it's a special
Mm-hmm.
price and stuff like that. So we like to do those kinds of things too. And then I also like to look for some free camps. So if you live in like, a township or something, like check with your city or wherever you live and see if there's any local free camps. There's one my girls go to. Um, that it's just for like 2 hours. I think it's no, like 2.5 hours. It's one week, two and a
Hmm.
half hours for that week, Monday through Friday, and they do crafts and stuff, and it's free. It's like paid for by um,
Wow.
the like Parks and Rec,
Right.
part of
That's
the
awesome.
city. Yeah, so just check out any kind of like free events like that that are going on too, because
Yeah, absolutely.
free is
And there's
free.
always camps are always an option. And like we did camps a lot the last couple summers, but they do get
It gets
pricey. I mean, you
expensive.
have four kids, so I
Yes.
can't even imagine. Like I have two, and sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, like, we took it easy on camps this year. I was like, I'm just not doing it this
Yes.
year. We're gonna make some other stuff work.
Yeah.
So I love that. I didn't even think like there would be free camps
Yeah.
offered.
There's
So
some
I love. I'm gonna do
free
some
stuff.
research on that. That's a great idea.
Yep, I would
Yeah,
say free is
cool.
for me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what about, okay, so we're moving on to, so we said keep it flexible. So another tip, balance fun with rest. Right. So I think we kind of already alluded to this, but don't overdo it. It doesn't have to be Pinterest perfect. Summer is about, it is a break, right? It's
It is a
summer
break.
break. So yes, of course we want to have fun, but it is also meant to be restful. You spend all school year on a schedule, hustling around, tons of things that you have to do. So take time to allow yourself to decompress and rest, and your kids also, right? I think it is important for them to have time to rest. We're here telling everyone not to get lost in the hustle culture. We should
Right.
start that with our
With
kids,
our
right?
children.
I
Yeah,
think it is
for sure.
important to like get it, ingrain it at a young age too. So
Yeah.
how can we balance out a little bit? I think, you already mentioned it. Not every day has to be bucket list worthy and Pinterest worthy. It's okay to have days where you don't have any plans
Yep.
and have lounge days. Like even if you have a framework or some like level of schedule for the day, you can have days where there's nothing on there.
Right.
Right? Like we're truly just unplugging or it's a free for all, whatever, right? Like it's okay to have days like that.
Yeah.
Um, I think another one that, I had noted and I want to get set up again is like a boredom bin. So one thing I hear a lot whenever there's downtime, even like during spring break or whatever, right? I'm bored. It's like, oh my God, right? So having an area or just some things ready to go for when your kids say they're bored, that you're like,
Hmm.
okay, you're bored. Well, go check out the boredom bin over there. What can you pull out to satisfy or to kind of fill your time a little bit? So some of those things are like puzzles. Again, this will go based on age, but puzzles, a lot of like the good like look and find books
Yeah.
or word searches. My kids love those too. Drawing books like how to draw or color. My kids still love to do that. Um, there's another really good site. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, Wonderopolis. Have you ever heard of that one?
Never
So
heard.
that one is, how your kids ask random questions? I'm sure they like just whatever all day, every day.
Yeah.
It literally just has information about all kinds of stuff, right? Like,
Oh, that's
who's
cool.
this? What's that? What, you know what I mean? Like in all these different categories, science, math, culture,
Right.
social studies. So maybe sometimes just like letting them explore that
Yeah.
to do some learning. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you're bored. Oh, go check. Let's check out Wonderopolis. See what's
Go
on
ask
there
that
today.
20 questions. Play
Yeah,
20 questions with one.
right. Yeah.
That's so
Um, and then I think, maybe some books are always an easy one. It's like, oh, you can always read a book if you're bored, right?
yep.
And then I think some like educational apps
Mhm.
too. So do your kids do Prodigy? Have you
So they don't do Prodigy. They do something called like, I don't know, IXL. Like there's different ones that they
Okay.
use.
Yeah, so I'm sure like all the different schools
Yep.
have
Have
ones like
different.
it, but the
Yeah.
kids always seem like enjoy it. They have
Yeah.
fun because they're games, like gamified and stuff. So yeah, mine do Prodigy, Duolingo, which
Yeah.
is, learning languages. There's math on there too. I had to laugh this year. Lily got really into Oregon Trail. Did you play that as a
Yeah.
kid? Okay, yes.
Everybody would fight in like school. Everyone would fight over whose turn it was going to be to play Oregon Trail
Right,
because
and we had to play on the
one
old
computer.
computers,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now they have an app for that, of course,
Right.
right? Which is so funny, but she was getting into Oregon Trail. And like Holly was like, I want to play, right? Like, so, but I think there are a lot of good educational related apps that it's like, oh, okay, if you're bored, why don't you do that for a little bit, right? Like, then you don't feel as guilty with them being on a device if they're doing something where you at least know there's
Educational.
some level of learning. You know what
Yes.
I mean? So again, similar to having this idea bank, having a bin, a table, an area of the house where it's like that's where you go if you're bored. There's like a lot of stuff for them to pull from. That way,
Hmm.
there's always something there for them.
Yes.
And you don't have to hear the constant, what do I do? What do I do? Where, how can I fill the time? So
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think about like balancing fun and rest? What comes to mind?
I think that like daily rest time is important because like or just daily quiet time. Like I don't really care if they're not resting, but just that they're like doing something that's quiet or like, so I try to make that like their video game time because I have boys. So like they're into video
Hmm.
games. So hey, sit down, play, you get an hour of video game time. Like just getting them to kind of like decompress, relax. When it
Yeah.
comes to the boredom thing, though, I am like, go outside and find something to do, build something, do something.
Hmm.
And so, like, my kids will, right now, this morning, actually, my oldest was with one of his friends at his house. They're building like a fort. And I love it because I'm like, that's awesome. Yes, go build a
Yeah.
fort. That's like what kids need to be doing. And it's
Yeah.
that creativity part that I feel like not enough kids in this generation are like using their creativity, because they're either in front of a screen or playing a
A
game
lot
or
of things are
whatever.
done for them or much easier for them.
Yes, it's a little bit
Yeah, I see what
easier.
you're saying.
So doing stuff like that, I just tell them, all right, go outside. So
Yeah.
unless it's like super hot, then of course I don't like send them outside. But if it's not, I'll be like, all right, you have 30 minutes outside, find something to do. But next thing you know, I look outside and they're playing wiffle ball or some kind of
Mm.
game that they've created.
Yeah, I
But
mean, every kid probably has their own, like with my kids, and I have here like kickball. They love to play,
yep,
kickball or like even with the hose. You know what I
yes.
mean? Like spraying each other with the hose.
Yep.
They,
We have the sprinkler thing. I just set that up outside and I'm just like, all right, you got 30 minutes. Like
yeah,
if you don't come in until your 30 minutes are up. And
right.
it's just because I think it also teaches them not to like give up right away. Like sometimes like I'm bored. Okay, we'll do this. Well, I tried that and I'm still bored. My kids are classic for doing that. And I'm like, okay, did you try it for like X amount of time? Like I have to give them a time frame
Yeah,
to do something for, and that helps. But
right. Like doing it for a minute, like isn't going to
is
solve
it going to solve? Yeah. So
or
it's
yeah,
kind of like getting them to see um and being willing to like try new things and different like hands-on activities or whatever. So that's kind of what we do for that. It's kind
yeah,
of like I don't know. I would definitely say I try to make summer as like low key as possible. Like
yeah.
that they kind of just get to choose within reason like what they want to do, but I've learned not to put this extra pressure on myself to like really feel like there has to be a lot going on. So I feel like a lot
That
of
that definitely comes with experience for sure.
yes,
And having the ability to, right? Like we are both
right.
fortunate where we work from home.
Yes.
Clearly there are people that have to
Listening that
go to
cannot.
a job,
Yes.
and that's a whole different story. So unfortunately, this might not be for you, this
Right, right.
particular
But it
one.
is helpful if you have like, like when I was growing up, my grandmother watched me during this.
Yeah, or even when your kids are home on the weekend or at
Yes.
night, or
Right,
right, you
right.
can still you can pull these ideas in for any time when
Yeah.
you're home with the kids.
I think one of
But
the things when you're like out of the house working, because like my husband's still out of the house working.
yeah,
Yeah, he has
same.
his own business and it's flexible, but he's not home during the day. And it's important to remember that even though it's summer, right? If you work full time outside of the house, don't put that pressure on yourself that every evening needs to be like something just because it's summer and now you're home. Like
Mhm.
you still need to have
You still
that
have a normal job,
right.
right?
Like you
Yeah,
still have what you're waking up for, even though your kids don't. And I think sometimes that can be a little bit like difficult to remember because you're
that's a
trying
good
to
point.
create the memories and everything. But I mean, just try to make it as fun as possible. But one of the things that I've learned, I think that definitely during the pandemic when we were home all the time, is that there's a lot of fun that you can have at home, like creating memories in the evenings, like making a fire. You know what I mean? Like you can have these little things that are routine, but that feel like you're
That's a great
doing
idea. Like yeah, having I like the idea of like doing a fire maybe like every other night or one night a week or something like that.
right. Yeah, like
Yeah.
or taking a walk as a family in the
Yeah.
evenings because it's cooler in the evenings. Could your kids ride their bikes while you take a walk as a family? Like doing that kind of stuff as a family in the evenings, like
Yeah.
that
My
was
kids love to go toad hunting in the evenings in the summertime because they're all over our
right.
neighborhood and like in our yard and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's funny, but that's something that is during the summertime because that's when they're out and
Yeah.
about. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's kind of cool. Yeah, it's a
It's
good
like
point.
lightning bugs. Like
Yeah,
there's
we
lightning
don't
bugs,
have lightning bugs here.
don't you?
No, it's so crazy.
Lightning bugs only in certain areas of the country.
Apparently, I can tell you that they're not in Southern Delaware because that was one thing that we realized
Oh my gosh.
after moving here. I know. So now we have
So
to catch
crazy.
toads instead.
I never even really thought about that like lightning bugs just wouldn't be
So appreciate the lightning bugs even more this summer because not
appreciated.
everyone gets to enjoy them.
And are lightning bugs firefly? This is a
They're
side
the
note.
same thing.
Are they the
That's
same thing?
To me, they are. I don't know
Right?
if they technically are the same thing, but
That was a
yeah,
tangent.
I always
Okay.
call them lightning bugs, but if other people said fireflies, I assumed that's what they meant.
That's what they meant? Okay,
Yeah.
good to know. Because I just thought about that. My kids sang this song for their like end of year show. It was Owen when he was in fourth grade, and it was about fireflies dancing in the night, and it was like this
Yeah.
whole song. And then I thought about it, I'm like, I wonder if a firefly is
I
like
bet
a
you it's like certain areas that have them just call them
call
different
it
things.
different things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, that was a
Like
tangent.
soda and pop. But
Yes,
anyway,
soda.
okay.
Oh, that's funny.
Yes.
Okay, so how about we talk about tip number three, involving the whole family. I kind
Yeah.
of just talked about this with like activities,
Yeah.
but I think there's another part to involving the whole family because part of this, where I think I lose my sanity sometimes in the summer is the fact that there's a lot going on. People are changing their clothes 40 times, I feel like, today in this house in the summer. I think my girls already had two outfits on today. It's first day of summer. And so like there's chore. Like what can your kids do during the
Yes.
summer also to help kind of maintain the sanity? And so we kind of talked about already like letting your kids help brainstorm and vote on what you're going to do,
Yep.
giving their input on what should be a part of your summer. We talked about having like a list. Well, this is an idea of like what you definitely want to make sure you do. So a must do list versus a nice to do list that
Hmm.
goes along with the bucket list. But
Yeah.
then I think a big one under this umbrella is sharing responsibility. Like,
Yep.
how can your kids share in the responsibility of what you have going on this summer? Um, I was just talking to my kids before they want to go swimming at their friend's house this afternoon. So I said, fine, we can go, but you guys have to help do XYZ because I'm recording the podcast. So if you want to be there by a certain time, these are all things mom had to get done. And it was just
Yep.
like changing their uniform to the washer, from the washer to the dryer because we have a game at six. You know what I mean? Like just
Yeah.
little
Absolutely.
different responsibility things. And then I am classic for, and sometimes my kids, I feel like really hate me for it, but I have like a self-care checklist of things my kids must do before they can leave this house for like, so my kids live in our neighborhood. There's a lot of kids, not my girls who are younger so much, but my boys who are now like preteen and almost teenager. They
Hmm.
have friends, they go off and they do their own thing. And I'm like, great, you can do that. Did you make your bed? Did you eat your breakfast? Did you brush your teeth? Did you comb your hair? And no, putting on a baseball hat does not count. Like, did you groom yourself today? Did you put deodorant on? Like, there's just like
Yeah.
a very quick checklist, and then they can leave the house. But I feel like I make them keep that during the summer because I feel like it helps create that structure. Like they still have to be responsible for the things that they need to be responsible for, right? Like,
Yeah, absolutely. I had actually had something similar to that as my first note here, which is first this, then that. So before we go do whatever it is, these are the things that you have to do, right? Sharing the responsibility, whatever it is, whether it's self-responsibility or helping with chores or housework or whatever, we cannot go to the pool until XYZ is done,
yes.
right? So it's putting some of the onus on them, right? If you want to have the fun, then you need to help and
Hmm.
making sure that we can get there. So yeah, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's like a big one for me
Yeah.
that I do. And I think that it teaches them to, like I just said to Reagan the other day. Now she's only just turned 8, so she's still young, but I had asked her to help me get something from the car, and she like wanted to help, but she kind of like rolled her eyes a little bit, and she was like, "But why can't Emmy, her youngest sister, why can't she just carry that?" And I was like, "Listen, one day you're going to be a mom and your kids are going to be like, but why can't this?" And then you're going to understand why sometimes I look at you like, why do you have to ask me why? Like, why can't you just carry the thing? Why does it have to be a discussion? Why do we need to
Right.
discuss why you're carrying this thing? And she was like, oh, I said, yeah, when you're a mom one day and you have kids, you're going to look back and be like, oh, yeah, that time I didn't want to carry that thing. And my mom told me this. And now it's all coming back to me. I said, because you're going to be the one carrying all the things. But so I think it
That's
just kind
funny.
of gives them a little taste of like actual reality.
Yeah. No, it's funny that you mentioned that because today there was something in the trunk of the car from last night that Holly wanted. She's like, "Oh, where is that?" I'm like, "Oh, it's in the trunk. You can go out and get it." No, just never mind. Nope, I'm not.
Yep.
I'm like, "So you're gonna go without because you don't want to go?" Yes. And then ultimately she went out and got it. But it was
Right.
the eye roll, the whatever
Yep.
beforehand,
Yeah.
like if she wanted me to do it is what
Exactly.
really what it was,
Yeah. My kids
you
always
know.
want me to do it. Like
I'm like,
last
you
night,
can go get
Kellen's
it.
phone was in the
Yeah, because it
car. I'm
wasn't
like,
anything or
no.
do it was her self-care. It was her moisturizer or whatever that she wanted to use today before leaving the house,
Yeah.
because she is all about that.
I love it.
So yeah, it was kind of funny.
That's
But
so
yeah, so I hear you for that. I think another thing too, this kind of is similar to the school year, right? So prepping snack for the week, like having the kids do that. You
yes.
can have them do that for the day too, or in the summertime, right? So like
Mhm.
each kid has a little basket, for the day because especially if you're home. I'm
Yep.
hungry. They're not really, but anyway, right? Like, okay, let's prep your little snack bin for tomorrow.
Yes.
You get so many snacks, put them here, then they're there on the counter for the day that you can pull from if you ever
Yeah.
need something.
Yep.
I'll leave fruit out like on the counter, like I'll wash or cut and like kind of get
Hmm.
some out so they can just pick on it throughout the day as well,
Yep.
right? But getting them to help, even with stuff like that, it can be very simple because the amount of times I feel like kids ask for snacks in a given day
Yes.
is mind-boggling,
So can
right?
I just tell you, my least favorite part of summer vacation is lunchtime.
Oh, I hear that.
It is
Absolutely.
literally my least favorite part of
Yeah,
summertime.
because I don't have to do lunch during the school year,
Right. I
school
don't have to
week.
do lunch, and I am not a cafeteria. Okay. There's
Yeah.
not options here. It's not cold lunch, hot lunch, and a salad bar. It's one mom and four kids, and we got
Right.
to figure it out. Like, I know people have different taste buds, but the expectation sometimes of my children about what I'm about to whip up for lunch is a little off base because I don't even like to cook. So,
I
like,
know, right?
I'm whipping up chicken nuggets, peanut butter and jelly, mac and cheese. I could do BLTs. And then I
Grilled
thought about
cheese.
the other day, like,
Yeah.
I was like, what do these cafeterias give these children? Like, I was like looking at their lunch menu and I'm like, the one day was like mozzarella sticks and something else. And I was like, huh, I never buy those things for home. But I was like, obviously, I try to give my kids healthy, like,
Yeah.
food options.
Of course.
I was like, maybe I should just buy some of these things to have on a whim, like if I just
On
need.
those days, yeah.
Yep.
When you're in a
So
pinch.
yeah, throw
That's a
me
good thought. Look back to some of the old
all of
lunch
your
menus for
lunch.
ideas.
Yes. So I
I
tried the
like
whole
that.
lunch menu because I'm like, what are these kids eating that their expectation is that lunch is dinner and then I'm also cooking dinner? Because I'm not. I don't even want to cook dinner. I don't like
Yeah.
to cook. So it just makes it.
Yeah, I hear you on that. So letting the kids help with that for sure. I think even planning for the week, like, okay, what are you going to have for breakfast this week?
Yeah.
Have it be simple things that they can toast
Yes.
themselves or, you know what I mean? Like
Absolutely. Making it like
anything
easy.
to take a little bit of
Yeah.
pressure off of you because you are doing extra meals throughout
Yep.
the
And
day.
so then my other plan was like, okay, I'm gonna make like when I make dinner, I'm gonna just like maybe double it.
Oh,
And
for
then we have
leftovers?
leftovers. And then they can have leftovers for lunch because then it feels like a dinner. Like,
Yeah,
it feels like, because I
it's a good
think the
idea.
problem with like school lunch, excuse me, because my kids get school lunch a lot, like my boys, is that it is like a three-course experience. Do you know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
there's not just one thing on the plate. So I think because that's what they're used to having, it's like, well, what's my side with that?
Yeah. And they have
Sides.
more, like you mentioned, unhealthy options at school. They have
Yes.
the Doritos and the like
Right.
all, that they can just buy because they have, their lunch,
Yes.
cards or whatever, right? I don't know what they're buying there,
Yeah.
unless they tell me. So I
Yes.
think, yeah, they have different expectations when they're
Hmm.
home. But that's a
So
good idea.
I'm on TikTok and Instagram, like looking up all that kind of stuff. Like, how can I like make more, like do more meal prep? I just saw these really cute snack containers to make your own Lunchables. So that's
Mm,
something that you could have your kids do because my kids have like every now and then they'll ask for a Lunchable. We don't really do Lunchables because I don't think they're
yeah,
like very healthy, but
we don't either.
um how you can make your like they were make your own more healthy Lunchables. So the
Hmm.
kids could kind of do that. And if you could do a couple days, I was like, yeah, I could try that. Do a couple
Yeah.
days worth and have them like, okay, and have them ready to be done that's, good. So
Yeah. I'd love any comments too. If you have ideas on the meals or the snacks or all the things, please share them
share
because
them
that
with
would be
us.
awesome. That would be really, really cool.
Group effort.
Yes. I think that, yeah, touched on everything that
Yeah.
I had thought in terms of, involving the families, just getting kids to help as much as possible for sure. I think the snacks
Yes.
is a big way to do
Yep.
it.
Yeah.
So what's next?
So,
We mentioned all those tips, but I think one thing to keep in mind as well is that it's not just about the kids, right? We're here along for the ride, driving the ship as well, the moms, right?
yes.
So it is important to think about your own bucket list or your own needs throughout the summer. So
Mhm.
because the kids are home, you already mentioned our schedules are kind of like out the window and we have to totally adjust.
Yep.
So you need to think about how can you still maintain your sanity amongst all the change, right? So I think, yes, what's on your bucket list, but how can you also set yourself up to have some level of routine throughout your days? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Building in time to still have your quiet time, to still have some time for whatever's important to you outside of work and home, right? Whether it's something creative or, working out, doing something fun with friends, right? It's really important that you do plan for that or make sure that
Yeah.
that is a priority and you get some support for that as well.
Yeah.
And the other big thing that we talked about in other episodes for sure is saying no to things. And that has been crucial or something I've been really focused on coming into this summer over the last couple of months with planning is we have a lot more open space on our calendar where I've intentionally said no to things to make sure we're not overbooked, right? So there is
Mhm.
an opportunity to be spontaneous or just, figure stuff out on the
Yep.
fly, right? What
Yep.
about you? What do you think in terms of just kind of making sure we're still in the picture?
So yeah, so one of the things I do is I wake up before my kids. Always. I mean, I even do that during the year, but I just think it's
Hmm.
so important during the summer, before the hustle and bustle of the day starts, before the demands come. I have to be up. I got to get my devotional time in. I try to get my workout in, and get that all that done beforehand. And I think that that's one of the biggest things that makes a difference for me personally because it allows me to have a little bit of me time. And 15 minutes of me time is better than zero. So like any time that you can really take for yourself, but also I think having like a mom summer bucket list for yourself. Like what
Yeah.
do you want to do this summer? So like for me professionally, I have like a 90-day summer goals that I want to, reach over the summer for my work. Then I have some personal goals. So like right now I'm doing this ab challenge that I just started.
Ooh,
That's
nice.
something that I just like stumbled upon on YouTube, and it's like a little 9-minute ab video, and I was like, all right, I'm committing to this for 30 days. So it's just finding things that are important to you. Some moms love to read. Is there a book you want to
Mhm.
read? Like find some things that you want to do because we are so busy running around taking care of everybody else, and you really can't pour from an empty cup. So
Yeah.
that would be my biggest thing that I would kind of say.
Yeah, absolutely. I love all of that. And I think empowering yourself to stick to it and stay committed. I
Right.
have a perfect real-time example for this because I recently have been like making some health changes, I guess you could say, over the past like month or so. Like first starting more with my like diet, just been like more protein focused and making some shifts there. And now more recently, like trying to
Yep.
get a little bit more active, starting just with walking, but now recently my sister and I, we just joined a studio. Like we went to the first class just over the weekend. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to 2 classes a week. I signed up to go tonight. And then like earlier today, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have so much to do. I don't, the first thing in my mind is like, I should skip that class
Yes.
because I have so much to do. And like, I don't,
Yep.
that's not necessary for me to
Hmm.
do. Right. And I'm like, no, I'm going because that needs to be a priority for me now. Right.
Yep.
Like I need to choose that as something I'm going to make sure that I
Yep.
do. But it's so easy to get lost
Hmm.
in the hustle and
Oh,
the
yeah.
to-do list of all the things, you know what I mean? Right.
Yep.
So I'm empowering you all to choose yourself in those moments.
Yes. 100%. For
Yeah.
sure. I think it's so important. You really have to remember that you are like, oh, what? I just heard this on a podcast. It's not what I was going to say, but it just came to my mind as I was talking. It's like you are the thermostat, not the thermometer, like in your household as the mom. So
Oh,
like you set the tone.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Like a thermometer, just the weather sets it, but like the thermostat on
Ah,
the
I
wall,
like
like
that. Okay.
you set the thermostat to what you want the temperature in your house to be, right?
Yeah, I love
And
that.
so it's like if you don't take care of you first in terms of like making sure that you're still filling your own cup so that you can pour out to other people, then the whole tone of your household is going to be off. So
Yeah.
super
Yeah, but
important.
it's hard because we always put ourselves last a lot of the time. So
A
we're
lot of
telling
it.
you, don't do it. We're
Yes.
we're encouraging you. Yes,
Don't do it.
absolutely.
I know. All right.
Don't do
Well, to
that.
wrap it up today, we just want to remind you, right? Flexibility, to be flexible in your scheduling, to kind of give yourself that ability to have it ebb and flow as it needs to be, but to have like, a little bit of structure definitely is helpful. A little bit of a
Mhm.
routine if that works for you. How important rest is. Rest is so important. I always say in my house for the next one, teamwork makes the dream work. Like
Oh
every
yeah, I
time
love
I
that
told
one.
everybody to clean up, I'm like, teamwork makes the dream work. Let's go, guys. Everybody get helping. Um, and then the simplicity of just keeping it simple for yourself. Like don't don't have these super high expectations of what you're going to do or what you're going to make happen. Just keep it simple and to take care of yourself. So, we have a little challenge for you guys for your summer sanity, and that's to choose three things this week that bring you joy without stress. So,
Yes.
three things that bring you joy without stress.
And don't overthink it. When I thought of this, I'm
Yes.
like the pool, right? Like reading or game. Like there are so many simple things that
Yep.
are fun that give you like a quick little boost that are not stressful, right? So
Yeah.
don't overthink it. Like just whatever first comes to your mind and then incorporate them
Yes.
into your days.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't have to be every day, but
hmm
incorporate them.
Yeah. And as you're doing these things, snap a picture, tag us, the Hustle and Harmony Pod. We would love to see what
Absolutely.
three things you are doing without stress. And do you want to take us out, Ash, since I brought us
Yeah,
in?
absolutely. So, as always, we ask that you share this, you leave a review if you're listening on the audio platforms or even watching on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe, you smash the subscribe button,
Smash
you
that
smash the
button.
like button, all the things. We look forward to sharing more with you in the coming weeks. Still, some good stuff in the pipeline. So, can't wait to hear all about it. And, make sure that you're also just sharing in the comments anything that's working for you as it relates to prepping for the summer, right?
Yes.
Because
We want to
anyone
know
watching this or listening to this could also benefit. So,
all the
love to
things.
hear it.
All
Can't
right.
wait to see
Bye,
you on the next one.
everybody.
Bye.